You promised in the wake of this massacre, 26 people murdered, that the NRA would, quote, offer meaningful contributions to help make sure this never happens again. If we boil down your appearance before the news media on Friday, this was your message.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
You proposed armed guards in school. We'll talk about that in some detail in a moment. You confronted the news media. You blamed Hollywood and the gaming industry. But never once did you concede that guns could actually be part of the problem. Is that a meaningful contribution, Mr. Lapierre, or a dodge?
Look, I know there's a media machine in this country that wants to blame guns every time something happens. I know there's an anti-Second Amendment industry in this town. I know there are political elites that for 20 years always try to say it's because Americans own guns.
Here was the New York Post, a conservative publication, I don't think part of the media conspiracy you talk about. And there's the headline, Gun Nut, NRA loon and bizarre rant over Newtown. The Hartford Courant headline says that the NRA's response falls flat. The congressman from the district of Newtown, Chris Murphy, tweeted this, walking out of another funeral, and was handed the NRA transcript, the most revolting, tone-deaf statement I've ever seen. Just your reaction to that, a very harsh reaction to your word.
And call me crazy. You could ban all Dianne Feinsteins. You could do whatever she wants to do with magazines. It's not going to make any kids safer. We got to know it is fact.
Well, a feeling is not fact. A feeling is a sense of reassurance. That's not evidence. And I know Columbine tragedy, Virginia Tech. There were armed guards there, weren't there? It didn't stop the carnage. And with the shooters. So your principle of having armed guards was true in Columbine, was it not?
Look at the facts at Columbine. They've changed. If a good guy with a gun had been there, he might have been able to stop.
I'm just trying to test your views here, Mr. Lapierre, about how it would actually work. So how many do you think you have to have on campus and where? Is it sufficient to have them at the front of the school?
That's a pretty darn good argument for putting a good guy in the system somewhere with a gun to help our kids.
And again, it may be the case. Do you allow volunteers, or do they have to be police officers? Would you have volunteer forces there?
I think that what you need police immediately, because that's something that we can get done. And then Israel had a whole lot of school shootings until they did one thing. They said we're going to stop it, and they put armed security in every school, and they have not had a problem since then. Let's make our kids safe. Let's not argue about this endless argument about gun control. But you would concede that as good as an idea as you think this is, it may not work, because there have been cases where armed guards have not prevented this kind of massacre, this kind of carnage. I mean, you would concede that point, wouldn't you? I'm saying that if I'm a forces all over the country.
You have to concede. It may not work. It may be part of the solution.
Nothing's perfect, David, but gosh, it's going to be better than we are.
And who pays? Because we know we have a third of the schools that already have armed policemen or some kind of armed guard there. Would the NRA be prepared to help financially? Is it really, as a budgetary matter, feasible? Would federal grants be necessary to provide this kind of firepower?
Well, with all the money in the federal budget, if we can't come up with to do this, there's something wrong in this country. The NRA will. I'll tell you, we fund the Eddie Eagle Child Safety Program right now as a model to schools for kids too young to be around guns. You know what it teaches them? If you see a gun, stop, don't touch it, leave the area, call an adult. Written by the best child psychologists and elementary school curriculum experts in the country, and we have child accidents down to the lowest level ever in U.S. history.
Here's some